So the market not really responding that strongly to this based on what it could be doing. What's your take on the earnings and the reaction?
Look, a week ago, the share price was around 200. Today, it's around 200. It's gone up. It's gone down in between. But if you look just at what's in the earnings report, it's extremely positive for Beyond Meat. Projected revenue for the year up from 210 million to 240 million. A number of other good things in there as well. So bottom line, if we cut through the noise of the past few days, things are looking very good for this company.
How do you justify the $11 billion plus market cap on this, especially considering, Impossible's out there? Even though the supply thus far has been pretty good, high quality pea protein can be hard to come by. What does Beyond Meat have to turn into in the next 5 years to justify all this?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to keep in mind the big picture here, which is the pace of growth of this sector overall. So UBS just came out with projections a few weeks ago that this market's going to be an $85 billion market within the next decade. That matches projections from Goldman Sachs and Barclays and others. And so within this rapidly growing space, Beyond Meat is clearly one of the market leaders, both here in the US and globally. So this is clearly a rising tide situation, and Beyond Meat is one of the best out there.
What do you think this market does look like in a decade? And I ask that because you are invested in quite a number of companies within this emerging space.
That's right. So if we look at the plant-based milk segment as a corollary, so 10 years ago was around 1% of the market. Today in the US, it's 13%. In Europe, it's similar. Plant-based meat is now growing very quickly. So this year it's past 2% of retail meat sales and growing very quickly. I think that in the next 5-6 years, we're going to see that percentage continue to climb very significantly. And that, of course, presents huge opportunities for companies like Beyond Meat that have a best-in-class product.
I realize that Beyond Meat is sort of market leader. It's also the first one that's really publicly traded that's pure play in this area right now. But there is a lot of competition out there. Is there room for everybody?
Certainly not everybody, but there's certainly room for a number of winners. So I think if you look at Beyond and Impossible, it's going to be a Pepsi-Coke type of situation where both companies will do very, very well because of consumer excitement around this space.
The plant-based milk comparison is interesting because I'm not sure, did somebody get really, really rich? Were there, 10, $15 billion market cap companies built on, silk or coconut milk or whatever it was? Why would this be different? Because it seems like a number of the more traditional brands were able to move into that category and do quite well.
Yeah, so I think an example of an exit from the plant-based dairy side is Danone acquired White Wave, which was one of the largest plant-based milk producers, for north of $10 billion. So there are some very strong exits there. Why the difference? The meat market is just far bigger than the fluid milk market. So for a company like Beyond Meat, that ultimately means much higher revenue potential.
I guess John's question is, why should the growth in protein match the growth in what beverages did, right?
Yeah.
Could it be different? Could it be more?
Yeah, so it could be different. On the dairy side, there are some allergen concerns that you don't have on the meat side. On the other hand...
That drive demand, you mean?
Exactly,
yeah.
The drive demand towards plant-based. But on the other hand, all of the other drivers of demand towards plant-based products are the same. So if you're talking about the health benefits of switching to plant-based products instead of conventional meats, if you're talking about consumers or have some sustainability or animal welfare considerations, all of those things are identical on both the meat and the dairy side. And so I think we're going to see things move in that same trajectory. Now, will the plant-based meat market take 13% in the next decade? I don't know, but I think it'll be somewhere in that 5, 10, 12% range.
Do you have a good answer as to what Tyson's up to, or why they would want to exit so early for something that had such amazing growth?
Yeah, so clearly Tyson missed the mark on that call, but Tyson has introduced their own line of plant-based proteins, a variety of products in this space. They too see the potential in this space, as do a number of other meat market leaders like Cargill and others that are either investing in the space or introducing their own products because, again, they see where the market is headed.
And are you in on those guys too? Do you have TSN and any others?
So our fund, Lever VC, we're an early stage investor, so we invested in Beyond Meat when they were much earlier on. So we are investing in a number of companies in this space that we think, like Beyond, can be global category leaders.
Are you surprised to see a secondary offering for Beyond 3 months after it went public?
Not really. This is not too uncommon for companies after they IPO. And if you look at where most of the shares are coming from, it's from their early stage VC backers. And for those companies, getting their returns a few months early can increase those revenue multiples that they're delivering to their LPs. So I think that's the motivation.
You're saying
Nick, what has to happen in supply for this market to work, especially on pea protein?
Yeah, certainly there's going to be more ingredient needs. And Beyond Meat's CEO Ethan Brown on the earnings call yesterday spoke about the fact that Beyond Meat has been diversifying their sourcing. So whereas a couple years ago they had essentially one supplier of their key pea protein ingredient, now they have 3. They've also added some other plant-based proteins to the mix as well. So they are diversifying, and there are more companies coming online to meet the needs of companies like Beyond and others that are